So subhanallah, we discover that there is a group of women. These are the gender feminists, the gays and the lesbians, taking over and directing the United Nations towards okaying all the not anti-Islamic, but anti-human ideas. So for example, the lesbian and gay movement wants to be universal. So it should penetrate all the Muslim countries, and that is considered human rights. Human rights. Lesbian rights are human rights. This is the banner that was held there. A document that was full of, I would say, traps. People could not understand what different forms of the family meant. People could not understand what sexual orientation meant. They had innocent minds. They didn't know what that meant. And all of a sudden, we find pornography, okaying prostitution. All these things are encroaching on us. We're sitting there looking at a document thinking this is a legal document and is going to be signed by all the nations, including maybe 50 nations or more. 32 nations are Islamic and the others are not. Now, I don't want to really bore you with that, but you know something? It didn't stop at the document. Wallahi, it didn't stop at the document. It continued for 4 years now. They have been implementing the document in our Muslim countries, and they are doing it here. No matter, it did not take, of course, it did not achieve consensus. Nobody agreed to it. And Bella Abzug, the one that was leading the conference, said, well, these documents are non-binding, but they are binding, all right, because the programs that we see implemented everywhere show that you don't even care about how people voted. This is a dictatorial type of rule in the United Nations. These women that managed to subjugate the system to their own use could be also Zionists. We don't know who they are. But who would be interested in demoralizing the entire universe? Who would be, except that it was said in the protocols of the elders of Zion? Who would be wanting to do that? So that continued, and we find all of a sudden, and the sister was talking about Habitat 2. I said, oh my God, there she is talking about Habitat 2. We went to that conference also. And there they were targeting the family. They were targeting human relations, a relation between husband and wife, mother and father, between kids and their mothers. They just wanted to destroy. They have structures in their mind, and the structures are materialistic structures, and the values are being totally out. They don't want to even include any kind of values, whether they be, even the Christians had a hard time with that. And they propose that they're going to create all those ready-made houses everywhere, and in the middle of them, they're going to have clinics. And the clinics are medical clinics that take care of reproductive health. What is reproductive health? This is a new coinage. This is a new word. And everybody is saying, what is this new language? Why are they using that? We have been living in peace for years, except for colonialism, but people have never been wanting just to take care of their reproductive health. Well, if you have cancer and if you have AIDS and if you have venereal diseases, this is your problem. But why do you want to make it universal? You see? So they go into the Muslim countries, they have the clinics, and they distribute all kinds of methods of contraception, to be polite, using that term. And they do that in order to encourage fahisha, foulness. Now, look at your own communities, in the public schools, at your own kids. What is happening to our own kids in school? My own, that was in junior high at one time, came to me with the health and family unit, and there it was. I said, Beijing, one more time, Beijing. We're seeing Beijing again in the schools. The health and family unit has nothing to do with health. It only has something to do with ibahiyya, promiscuity. That's what it has to do. Now, where is the Muslim voice? I wonder, when are our Muslim sisters going to rise and say, we have a voice about all of this? We would like to penetrate the public school system. We would like to object to that. We would like to have a say-so about all this foulness that's going haywire, about the values, about the idea even of gays and lesbians. Now, nobody can stand in a classroom or on a university campus and mention that this is something bad or a bad practice or that, it's something that nobody likes. You cannot say that anymore. Who is putting the pressure on us but this society? When are the Islamic values going to enforce themselves and impose themselves on the people? Unless we are scared of society more than of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why are we scared to talk? If you have a gay person in front of you and you tell them, this happened in Beijing, by the way, they were all over the place, and we were telling them, look, sexual orientations mean homosexuality. It means lesbianism, and that's in our book. It's haram. We cannot do that. Actually, it's punishable. Jibril alayhi salam, took the whole city up, and it came down in ruins. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us the punishment of Qawm Lut. So we cannot approve of something like that. But they said, yeah, it's true. You cannot approve of it. And then they go and sneak behind our backs, and they have a whole series of new conferences for the youth to implement the population conference that happened in Cairo 1994, and the Beijing conference in Beijing 1995, and the Habitat conference, all the conferences, and وحقوق الطفل, the rights convention on the rights of the child, and the child is to tell his parents, you have nothing to do with me anymore because I'm an adult and I have control over my own life. What do you say to that, dear sisters? What do you say to that? When your kid comes to you and says, listen, Mom, I'm an adult. You have nothing to do with me anymore. This is legal. This is by the law, because this is going to be honored here in this country. It's going to be made legitimate, and it's going to be made legitimate elsewhere as well. What are you going to say to your kid when he comes to you and tells you that? And you have nothing, you cannot handle that. What are you going to tell your husband, or what are we going to tell each other when a husband and wife are having a very innocent dispute at home? And the wife, maybe now she can be naqisatu aqlin wa din at this point, but she would tell him, look, you're emotionally abusing me, and I'm going to the police now to complain. And they come and they seize the brother and put him in jail. What are we going to do about that? For our own good and for our own strength and for the wholesome of our own families, we have to do something about it. We have to really start screening. This battle with secularism is very important, because we have to start screening those ideas and to have an input about what's being law and not being law. And that fits into what the brother was saying, having a say-so in the political process. But if that takes 5 or 10 years more, our kids will be gone by then. So we need community work. We need sisters' organizations that talk about Islamic children's rights, parents' rights, Islamic view of reproductive health, the meaning of family in Islam, and we need to distribute those everywhere in the communities, abroad, on campuses. We need to shower the United States with Islamic ideology. Why are we scared? I don't know why are we scared. Maybe because we didn't know that this existed. And maybe we just took it for granted that they're imposing those ideas on us, and we just have to sit there and accept that. But who said we have to accept that? Some Christians already voted down in the public schools the idea of the health and family unit, but don't depend on that. We need it to be Islamic as well. We don't need it just to be Christian. But they said you cannot do that. You cannot teach our kids promiscuity, and you can teach them this as health, and it's not health. You are the ones that are ruining the morality of the society. So we need to do it as well. I don't know how much more time I have, but I would like to hear from you, and I would like you to ask as many questions as possible about this issue and others. And I hope that when you look in the list of what we have to achieve in the new millennium, and also the Muslim women leaders, that you have some questions to ask about that. Okay, do you want to start asking them to, Shall I just take it from there? Okay, brother, first, inshallah.